Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All right, Shalom. It's the brother Kanak from the Indianapolis camp. I want to start out by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. I want to give double honor to our apostle, Ellis Great Millstone, that teach him well. Peace, be safe to the whole leg, pushing this truth week in, week out. A sincerity, charity, and love, and the spirit of Yahweh Shai. The four comes to earth. I'm going to go into faith. Now, faith is a subject that has to come out and needs to come out and continuously come out because faith is the substance of our belief, man. Us having faith in Yahweh, our belief in the Lord, all right? You know, without faith, how can we believe, the word said in this book? But through faith in the Spirit, the Lord dealt with us to believe. And through our belief, we do our videos. Through our belief, we walk to camp. Through our belief, we changed our life and we walk a different lifestyle, man. All right, through our belief, we've learned who we are. Through our faith, all right, we've learned who we are. Because the more we believe, the more we inquired, the more we dug down to figure out what was required of us, who we were, you know? So I started, everybody knows this one. This is Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Right. We haven't seen Yahweh Shai, but we know the Yahweh Shai Spirit through our faith. All right. We haven't been delivered, but we know the Lord is coming through our faith. Our faith outstands and outweighs everything else. You know, there are a lot of things that people can't see and it happens. All right. But through our belief and faith, we know that these things ought to be true. And the Lord also, comes through, every once in a while to give us a faith booster. Just like with what happened, with Iran getting involved. These are faith boosters. The Lord let his man not give, man. The Lord give his man, in these last and troubling days, man. It says, for by it the elders obtained a good report. Work by listening to Yahweh Shemashah, by trusting in him. All right, it says, this verse 3, it says, through faith they understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahweh, so that things which are seen were not seen, made of things which do appear. Right. So we understand that this is how the world was formed, man. To Yahweh, commanding Yahweh, shine, rest in the angels to frame the worlds. We understand this through faith. The so-called world, I want you to believe in a Big Bang theory, but through the faith, all right, in the spirit, we know the Lord formed all these things, all right, because they were made perfect. You know. I'll jump to Second Corinthians, chapter 5 and verse 7. It says, "For we walk by faith and not by sight." Right? We walk in the faith for Yahweh Shem Shai, not by sight. Not that things to go on because the Lord can change anything. The Lord can make anything happen. All right. We know that our faith in Yahweh Shem Shai and our belief is more powerful than anything on this earth, man. All right. And it can't be shaken, man. Because everybody's not gonna have faith anyway. All right. So we walking by faith, man. We walking in the spirit that the Lord is going to come deliver us up out of this sinful kingdom, and that, we're going to be made royalty in the kingdom of heaven. That's our faith through the scriptures. All right, because back in Hebrews 11 and 6, it says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. All right, so how you going to please the Lord if you don't believe? All right, there's no way, There's no way you can say you please Yahweh Hashem Shai, you believe in him. It says, for he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is and that he's the rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So we have to know that the Lord is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him, man. And believe that he is. We have to have our mind set on that, man. Just an example of faith, it says in this next scripture, chapter 7, it says, by faith Noah being warned of the good, by faith Noah being warned of Yahweh, of the things not seen, and yet moved with fear prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world. All right, and that's going into it became the heir of the righteousness which is by faith, right? So that's going into when the flood happened, man. All right, Noah had no inkling, man. He had no thought of it being of rain. They had never seen rain. The only thing they had seen was the dew of the earth. If you don't know what the dew of the earth is, the dew of the earth is if you go outside, uh, you know, early in the morning, man, before the sun gets, scorching hot, the grass is wet, because of the moisture that comes up. That was the dew of the earth. So they knew of water coming up, but not of water coming down, man. So by faith, he had never seen it, you know, but he still moved with haste, and he built the ark, man. He took care of what the Lord's business, what the Lord asked him to do, man, and that was by faith. And we have to be in that same faith when the Lord asks us to do stuff, man. You know, even though we can't see it and we don't understand it, you know, we still have to move in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, this is the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 37. It says, for with Yahweh nothing is impossible. Right. Just like the story I was just going into, man. People are finding an impossible story that he built those things. The Lord put the spirit on him to be able to build it. The Lord put the spirit on him to save his family. The Lord put the spirit on him that he was to contend with the rest of the earth. So anything's possible through Yahweh Shem Shai. All right. With that faith. Only with that faith, man. You know? This is to the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, and verse 8. It says, for by grace you are saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is the gift of Yahweh. All right, so once again, everybody's not going to have this faith. The Lord has to put this faith out there. All right, who's going to have faith? The elect. And it's a gift from Yahweh Shem Shai, a gift that's just not obtainable by everybody, because a lot of people are not going to believe. 2/3 of our people will be destroyed, because of lack of their faith, of not believing Yahweh Shem Shai, not moving to the beat of the Lord, not getting themselves together. They're going to be destroyed in the coming of the Lord, man. All right? I'm going to jump to the book of James, chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 5. It says, if you lack wisdom, let him ask of Yahweh. Right? If you lack of wisdom, ask of the Lord, and Yahweh shall shine. They give it to all men liberally, which means free, and upbraideth not. All right? So the Lord will give that to you. All right? If you ask him freely and upbraideth not, means he's not going to get angry at you. All right? It says, and it shall be given. It said, but let him ask in faith, not wavering. So when you ask the Lord stuff, you got to believe the Lord's already going to do it. You got to believe it's going to happen, man. It says, for he that wavereth is like the wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. All right? So, right, man. You got to believe in Yahweh Shem Shai. You up and down, you side by side. All the Lord can do it, the Lord can't do it. I believe, I don't believe. Excuse me, the Lord's not done with it. It says, for let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. Because a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. All right, so you have to have a one straight mind in this truth. You know, with the faith of the Lord. If you believe in Yahweh Shema Shai, your mind has to be set. It can't be a question. It can't be a guess. It can't be a maybe it's going to happen. You have to know that it's going to happen, man. And that's a part of having that faith. And that's a part of that gift that the Lord is going to give. That the Lord gives to the man of the Lord. And the gift that He's going to make stronger in the last days when we really going to need Him. Our faith is going to, He's going to build, Lord willing, our faith will be built up even more. You know? I'm going to jump to the book of Mark, chapter 11, and verse 22. It says, uh, and Yahweh shall answer, saying unto them, have faith in Yahweh. You know? It says, for verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto a mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, the word heart goes to your mind, but shall believe that those things which he said shall come to pass, he shall have whatever he says. Alright, so you gotta believe in these things, man. Alright, you gotta believe that you can cast a mountain to the sea. You gotta believe that anything's possible through Yahweh Shai. You know, and it doesn't take a lot. Because what the scripture says, he that has the mustard seed, the faith of a mustard seed, man. You know, brother did a beautiful video on how the mustard seed is very strong. You know, it's one of the smaller seeds, but it's one of the most powerful seeds. It can break the concrete. But Lord said we had the faith of a mustard seed, man. You know, so we got to be believing in your Habash Shine. We have to ask that our faith be built up in these last and trying days, that we make it and don't falter. You know, also our faith being built up for the ultimate temptation that's coming in the market. You know, the so-called chip. You know, that we don't waver and falter into that. The only people who's not going to falter in that is those people who have faith. And yeah, by Shema Shai that truly believe. You know, so Lord willing, I was one of those men, man. You know, so Lord willing is edifying to the body. And with that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakatash. Don't want to positive others of your mess on that teaching we will. Peace, blessing, safety, hopeful, that pushing this truth week in, week out. And sincerity, charity, and love, and the spirit of Yahweh Shai throughout the four corners of the earth. With that, I want to say shalom.